Good morning, guys, and welcome to another episode of MC Commute. My name is Michael Gilbert, road test editor of Cycle World, and I'm here to periodically deliver MC Commutes to you guys. That way we can keep up with one every week, as we know how much you guys love this. So today, we are going to be riding the 2020 Yamaha MT-03. All new for the model year, the smallest MT of the bunch, and derived from the YZF R3. Now, we have a lot to talk about. Let's get on the road. All right, guys, the Yamaha MT-03. Now, it's got the same 321cc parallel twin engine as the YZF R3, but obviously it's naked, it's lost its fairing, it's got a little bit more upright ergonomics that we'll talk about once we get on the road. I really like this intake. I know it's more of a stylistic feature than anything, but it gives that transformer look, and I know people criticize that, but I like it. 298 millimeter front disc. It's got the 43 millimeter KYB fork, same as the R3. It gets a little bit different damping settings that we'll talk about. Overall, I really like the look of this bike. It's got the ice flow colorway with these kind of high vis wheels and this gray paint. I think it looks good. Why don't we get on the road? Let's fire this thing up, see how she sounds. I like it. Has a nice little tone to it, nothing monstrous, but very smooth in the throttle too. I like the feel of that. All right, let's get this thing going. All right, guys, the Yamaha MT-03. This is the smallest of the Yamaha MT bunch, as we have talked about. Obviously, the MT-09 was the first one to come in 2014. The MT-07, the MT-07 followed shortly thereafter in 2015. And the MT-10, the big bore, let's get this thing going. The big bore MT-10, the 998cc cross-plane crankshaft engine, based off the YZF R1 Superbike, followed in 2017. So, the MT-03, being the smallest of the bunch, I feel like it actually has big shoes to fill. Yamaha has essentially designed this for less experienced beginner riders, younger riders, something to get them not only onto the MTO lineup and hopefully buy one of those bigger bore motorcycles following, but essentially draw them into motorcycling and give them a platform to learn on and hone their skills before they start making their way into the world of motorcycling. And to that point, the MT-03, it really is a great motorcycle. I'll have to say, for beginners, it's got a low 30.7 inch seat height, same as the R3, which I'm 5'7", kind of a smaller racer stature. I can easily flat foot both sides when I'm coming up to stoplights or navigating traffic. 375 pounds fully fueled. It's one of those motorcycles that I don't ever have the worry of tipping over. Like I said, it's small, it's controllable. The throttle, the power delivery is very unintimidating yet entertaining when we get it out on these faster roads or the freeway here in a little bit. And to that point, the Yamaha MT-03 is, it really does offer a good base for beginner or less experienced riders. Kind of have to start with the 321cc parallel twin that we talked about. Super smooth. We'll get it off the light here in a minute, but super smooth yet entertaining, maybe for a more experienced rider, but it offers a good start for riders looking to get in. It gives you the power. It doesn't really lack a whole lot, and at the same time, it's approachable from a newer or less experienced rider. In its transformation from the YZF R3 now into the MT-03, obviously it's going to lose its bodywork. The YZF R3 is fully faired. It's a super sport machine. This motorcycle is not. It loses its fairings. The ergonomics have been tweaked, and so it actually loses the clip-on style handlebars that the YZF-R3 had, and instead it gets this one-piece motocross style handlebar, which in relation to the R3 has been brought back 19 millimeters and up 39 millimeters to just give you a little bit more relaxed position. You know, the reach of the handlebars is quite comfortable. I don't really find myself putting a lot of awkward pressure on my wrists or you know, just feeling cramped up on this bike. The rear end of the ergonomics, the foot pegs are in the same position as the R3, which is just a little bit up and back. It kind of gives it an aggressive stance, which, you know, as I first started riding this bike, I kind of thought that maybe Yamaha should have pushed the foot pegs a little bit more and just give it a little bit more relaxed feel. But what I kind of started noticing or thinking about is with this a little bit of aggressive stance, it's a motorcycle that you don't feel like you're necessarily going to outgrow in 6 or 8 months and feel like, you know what, maybe it's time for an MT-07 or an MT-09. Obviously the goal is to continue growing, but this isn't a bike that you would outgrow so quickly and feel like, oh man, well maybe I should have just started with an MT-07. That kind of aggressive stance, its aggressive nature, its features, kind of just add up to a motorcycle that I feel like you can ride for a long period of time and be completely happy with. All right, here we go. On to the big boulevard. And we are off. All right. Get it going. A little bit of a short first gear. It's something I noticed with the R3 as well. I feel like the short first gear, getting off of lights, I have to almost make a little bit of an awkward shift right away. I felt like, you know, and it's not always a problem, but maybe if you're making a left-hand turn and you're trying to get off a light in first gear and you're trying to take that shift while leaned over, can sometimes be a hassle. But otherwise, this motorcycle is geared pretty short. Obviously, we're doing about 55 miles an hour at 6,500 RPM. And when we get out on the highway, it'll be doing about the same thing at highway speeds. So it's geared a little bit shorter, and I think that Yamaha has kind of taken that approach to give it a little bit of a punch, give it a little bit of roll-on power to get by cars, get yourself out of situations. So I can't be too critical of the short first gear. I think it's an overall short gearing. Just to help out, and newer riders will appreciate that too, getting off of stoplights and not feeling like they're going to stall it. So, well, here we go. Why don't we try this in second gear here? All right. Well, I thought we were going to get a red light and we didn't, so we'll try it again here later. Overall, really comfortable motorcycle. I think Yamaha did a good job. We talked about the ergonomics. The chassis too. The chassis lends its hand in that as well. It gets the same main frame as the YZF-R3. Oh, there's second gear. A little bit of slip, but not so awkward of a shift. The chassis lends itself to that comfort too. It gets the same main frame as the YZF-R3, and it gets the same 43 millimeter KYB fork as the R3, although compression and rebound damping settings internally have been softened, as has the spring rate, just to kind of target the riding that you'll be doing on this. I don't see as many people taking these things to track days or necessarily even going for long canyon twisty rides like they might on the R3. The rear shock is the same as the YZF-R3 as well. All the settings have remained the same. It's got a 7-step preload adjustment. So maybe if you're riding with a passenger or you're a bigger rider or a smaller rider, you can dial that into your liking and just find a little bit more of an overall balance for this motorcycle. All right, we talked about chassis, we talked about the fork, we talked about the shock. What we have not talked about the brake. The brake, this motorcycle, it actually gets ABS standard. There is no ABS or non-ABS model, and it gets that 298 millimeter brake that we talked about up front. It offers good power, quick stopping. I do have to comment. I think that I have to say that the feel at the brake lever feels a little bit wooden, if you know what I mean. It's hard to understand exactly how much brake pressure is being applied at the calipers, but overall, good brakes. I think, yeah, it has good power. Maybe doesn't have the most feel. It's not like we're on a racetrack though. We're looking to trail brake to the apex or anything like that. So overall, I don't know, maybe give the brakes 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10 for this category. I think they're okay. I love riding these little bikes. Quick acceleration, and now we're up to speed. It's fun because, you know, everyone kind of, more experienced riders will maybe bash on small displacement or entry-level motorcycles, but I have a lot of fun on these things. You can really kind of wring its neck, which the MT-03 really likes. I think we talked about that. It seems like it sits a little bit higher up in the RPMs, and really about 7,000 RPM or so, it kind of comes to life. Anything below that, maybe it's lacking a little bit. But anyways, getting back to it, I enjoy small bikes. I think these bikes are a little fun. You can kind of wring its neck and you can get away with it. You can ride full throttle in some places that maybe if you were on an MT-09 or MT-10, if you were riding in full throttle, you're either breaking laws and have a red light behind you, or maybe it's not maybe not the safest thing in the world. So this little MT, I like it. Super smooth throttle response too. Hopefully we can we'll get off this light too pretty soon, and I'll show you what I mean. Just really natural in the wrists, not so lurchy. I think some of the Yamaha models, specifically maybe the MT-09, the YZF-R1 of recent years, have kind of been known for a lurchy or abrupt throttle response that kind of wants to get away from you in slow speed riding. Not on this bike. I like it. Super smooth and approachable. Either this MT-03 has a little bit of grunt for its size, or maybe the cars just aren't racing me today. But this thing gets off the line and gets going. Going back to that gearbox, it's got a 6-speed gearbox. Pretty silky smooth shifts, I have to say. I like it. And offers a good range, well-spaced ratios. You know, I never really find myself in between gears, trying to search for the right gear all the time. All right. The downshifts can sometimes be abrupt, just with the shorter gearing. I think that shifting down into second, shifting down into first, can sometimes, it'll just catch you if you have too much RPM. Otherwise, or too much speed, I should say. Otherwise, super silky smooth. I like it. All right, let's get on the freeway. We're gonna get blocked, aren't we? Dang it. Nice little roundabout onto the freeway. I was hoping we were gonna get it. Really kind of show what this little MT has to offer. Oh, we might get it around the outside. Let's do this. Yeah. Super lightweight, super planted on the side of the tire. This bike has the Dunlop Sport Max GPR 300 tires that I have to say offer good grip and good feel for this MT-03. We are on the California Super Slab Highway 5 headed towards the office. All right, we're doing about traffic speed, sitting around 8,000 RPM, so it sits a little bit higher up into the revs and kind of just spins quickly. But there isn't a whole lot going on in terms of vibration in the handlebars or the pegs. Maybe the foot pegs, they get a little bit buzzy, but overall really comfortable. Could you load this bike up and make a highway run, ride a few hundred miles or a couple thousand miles over the course of a day, or course of a couple days, I should say? Yeah, totally, I think so. Quite comfortable. Obviously, being that it's a naked bike, it doesn't quite have a fairing up here. It just has this little nose beak. You kind of find yourself leaning forward a little bit just to combat the wind, but overall really comfortable. And along with that, the nose beak, it gets this 4.75 inch LCD dash. And if you push this button here, you're going to get a couple different functions. This looks like it's got a live miles per gallon. I think this is average miles per gallon, which is talking about that. We've been getting about 42 to 45 miles per gallon on average on this motorcycle with a 3.7 gallon tank. So could you get 150 miles out of it? Probably. I don't see why not. And you know, I think you guys can tell already that I like ripping off of stoplights and getting up to speed quickly, so maybe I'm burning a little bit more gas than others might. So I think 150 miles is totally plausible. Other than that, we got a gear shift indicator, or a gear indicator, I should say. I like that. I find that very useful. It's got this nice, very large tack. Your speed is also very large. You got your fuel level, coolant temp. Getting back to this, you can cycle through the settings, trip settings, odometer. Yeah, overall, it provides all the information I'm looking for. It doesn't really lack anything, and I like this little dash. It gives us a modern feel to this little motorcycle. I like it. Overall, super smooth ride on the freeway. I think Yamaha, like we said, I think they've hit those settings spot on in the fork and the shock. Kind of just glides over all the imperfection of the asphalt. The only thing I have to say is I feel like the seat is just a little bit soft. I feel like my behind area is just getting a little bit sore, even after just a few short miles. Maybe replacing that with an aftermarket seat would be beneficial. I have to comment, I really like these mirrors. Super stable, not really buzzy. A lot of these bikes, I find that you kind of lose vision because they're so buzzy. I like this. Pretty stable. I can see everything that's kind of going on. They offer a good wide range too. Pretty nice. Pretty nice. All right. Let's see. We got one more little roundabout getting off the freeway here. Let's make a couple downshifts. Get this thing in. Hopefully these cars don't stop on us. And we are in. Super confidence inspiring feel. Just that little bit of brake tipping into the corner. We already talked about it. Just super planted feel, especially from the front end. That's something that we actually found in the YZF-R3 in comparison to some of its competitors, namely the Ninja 400. We found it superior. We found that the planted feel, the just consistency at the front end was improved over or superior over the Ninja 400, and just offered a lot of confidence, especially at the racetrack. And speaking of that, like, I don't see any reason why this can't be an option for you to take to your first track day. Same power plant as the R3. Foot peg position is the same as the R3, which we drug just a little bit on the racetrack, but nothing serious. So obviously it's got the upright handlebar, and it's missing a fairing, but could you take this to the track? Totally. I think so. I think you'd have a blast on this thing. I don't see why this thing can't pop a wheelie. If anything, maybe the gearing's just a little bit short. It'll run in. And try this thing in second. How about that? I don't want to run into the rev limiter too quick. Maybe a little bit of clutch work. Ooh. Nope. Kind of just lacks a little bit down low. Should we see if we can back it in too? All right, here we go. Little skid. I like it. It kind of has, this little bike. It's it has a big bike feel to it. Like it really rides like the MT-07, and really when you're sitting on top of it, it feels like you're on an MT-07. You know, it has that low seat height, but what I mean is like the tank, the wide-shouldered tank, the handlebar position, everything about it, it feels like an MT-07, and kind of gives you that big bike feel. It makes you kind of feel like you fit in with those other big bikes. Well, there you have it, guys. That is our MC Commute aboard the 2020 Yamaha MT-03. This is the smallest MT of the lineup, obviously with big shoes to fill with the MT-07, the MT-09, the MT-10. I think Yamaha has done a really good job. I enjoy the overall smooth mannerisms of the 321cc parallel twin chassis, really well balanced. They did a good job with the fork, and I think that overall, it's just a very friendly yet entertaining motorcycle. I think that newer riders, especially for that $4,599 price point here in the US, it offers a good entry-level platform to get into motorcycling, hone your skills, continue to work your way up the MT line or other motorcycles, and just continue progressing into the motorcycling world. All right, guys, I had a lot of fun doing this. I hope that you guys enjoyed it as well. If you did, be sure to leave us a like. We always want to hear from you, so comment on our video and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we will see you guys next time.